Hello, my name is Jennifer and welcome to my tutorial on building toddler skills in The Sims 4. I also have a separate tutorial on taking care of toddlers in The Sims 4, which I will link. To start with, there are 5 toddler skills. 4 of them have 5 levels and 1 has 3 levels. The 4 that have 5 levels are communication, imagination, movement, and thinking, and Potty has only 3 levels. Now, some advantages of building toddler skills are if you're going to be playing with the sim as a toddler, as they build their skills, they unlock various things that they can do. And like for movement, they can move more quickly. For communication, they can ask more things. They can do that type of thing. Thinking is supposed to help with nightmares as it gets higher. Can't say I've noticed that very much. And obviously potty. They have more ability with going potty. The other main advantage to getting it happens when they age up. If you get your toddler skills all to level 3, they will get the happy toddler trait when they age up, and that will give them a 10% boost to their skill gains for the rest of their sim life, which is pretty nice. And they also get little moodlets that they had a happy toddlerhood, and it'll make them happy. Randomly, that happens the rest of their life. The other thing is if you max all of the toddler skills, you instead get the top-notch toddler trait, and that will give them a 25% boost for skills and careers for the rest of their Sims life. And they also get a moodlet from it too that makes them happy, randomly, of course. The other advantage is that when they age up to child, they will get a head start on the children's skills, and they are linked directly to the 4 5-level skills. So communication will help build social, so they'll get a head start on social. Imagination will give a head start on creativity. Movement will give a head start on motor, and thinking will give a head start on mental. So that's another advantage of building the skills as a toddler if you like to work on those skills when they are children. Now, there are some moods that can help build the toddler's skills. If a toddler is energized, then they will build their movement skill more quickly. If they are playful, they will build their imagination skill more quickly. And if they are happy, that can help with both communication and mental skill, building it a bit more quickly. Also, the toddler traits can have some impact on the skill building. I'll just list a couple, but for example, Rusty here is clingy, so he learns more quickly from a caregiver. So that's an advantage of a clingy toddler. If a toddler is independent, they learn better on their own. If they are inquisitive, they will learn thinking a bit quicker. If they're wild, they learn movement a bit quicker. That's just a few examples. If you look at the traits when you're aging up or choosing them, it'll tell you what the advantages are, if there are any, for the various traits. There is one object that will help with building 4 of the skills, essentially everything but potty, and that is the rabbit tablet. Or if you prefer, you can also use the Slablet, which we happen to have one in the house, so I will show that here. We have a Slablet as opposed to a rabbit tablet. So if you use a toddler and you click on it, you see all the options are available that a toddler would have on a rabbit tablet. Of course, a rabbit tablet, if I remember correctly, is 500 simoleons, and a Slablet is 1,000 simoleons. But the one advantage of a Slablet is that other Sims in the house can use it for whatever else they want to use it for, and they are unable to really use the toddler apps on the rabbit tablet. The disadvantage is that sometimes maybe the other Sims are going to use it and the toddler might not get as easy access to it. But, you have to weigh the pros and cons of what it is that you want to do with it. So that will build. Let's go back to Rusty and click here. So watching toddler videos will build communication. Playing Sim Shape will build thinking. Blick Block Baby will build movement, and drawing with Llama will build imagination. And you can see that because of the little icons, and they match up nicely to the icons on the skills. Now, after that, I don't actually use the rabbit tablet or the Slablet very much for building my toddler skills because I don't find they build them very quickly when they use it. Plus, if you put them on it, at least whenever I have done it in the past, I find the toddler loses track of their needs, and you need to make sure you're paying attention to the toddler to make sure that they get off of it to go do the other things that they may need to do, potty, sleep, eat, other things that are pretty important. They will get fun. That's something they get from the tablet. Slablet, Rabbit tablet, whichever. I will, however, use it if I'm taking my sim family out and I want to stick something easy in their inventory that they can use when they're getting to where they get there. When the Toddlers first came out, I always made sure I had a Rabbit tablet on the lot. At the time, I didn't know Slablet worked the same way. Don't know if it did, but definitely does now. But I also found that I had a really hard time getting my Sims to max their toddler skills on a normal lifespan, but now I can. That's possibly also helped by the fact that there are more objects from more packs that can help build skills that were not available when Toddlers first came out. So now that Rusty has finished playing with his mother, he is going to have something to eat. He went potty, which he's level 3, so he could go on his own, but for potty skill, the only way to learn that is on the potty chair. When they get to level 2, they can go potty on their own. And when they get to level 3, they almost always will use the potty autonomously unless there's something pretty much getting in their way. Even if they're sleeping, they'll wake up and go use the potty. Though I tend to keep the potty in the room so that it's not very far for them to get to. That may contribute to why they are more likely to use the potty, like in the room, in their bedroom, as well as in the bathroom. That's just something that I tend to do. So for communication, to build that, you can teach the toddler to talk. And then once they get to level 2, you can teach them some flashcards. He isn't level 2 yet. So if you look here with his dad and we go on, so there's the teach to talk. And then under friendly flashcards, you'll see that teach animals, which will help him with his communication, requires level 2. And that's not available right now because he's not high enough. And also, as a toddler, he really doesn't have as many options for talking. He can babble. He's also like when you watch the TV, he can't ask anyone to turn it on. You need to be level 2 to turn it on. So they can't do as much. They can't interact as much for lots of things until they get to level 2. So that's so getting them to level 2 for most of the skills is really helpful because it does unlock various things. So back to just generally talking about communication. One of the other ways is just to talk, to babble, and then just as they get more options, do the other options when you're talking to, anyone around. That will help them build their communication skill. We have a plush here. So if you babble on the plush, that will help. And they also have a dog somewhere. If you interact with pets by talking to pets, and I believe petting pets, then that will also help, or babbling to pets, that will also help with their communication skill. So those are the main things that I do. I just have the toddlers talk to people who are around them, have them play, essentially talk to the plushes. I usually like to make sure I have a plush, and if there's a pet in the house, I have them interact with the pet, talk, hug, whatever, those types of things. They can help with communication. So moving on to imagination. Some ways to build imagination is to have them play with toys, which we have a toy box in his room and probably out elsewhere, but we have one in his room, and they can play with a dollhouse, which if you do have a dollhouse, a lot of Sims will just go and use them autonomously. Can be a nuisance, but I usually keep them busy and try and stop them as much as I can. And then when they get older, I just remove them out of the house. But it is a good way to build imagination. And they can also look at books or have books read to them. They can watch TV. They can listen to music. And also with certain packs, if you have a build and block table, which we have here, he can play with that, and that will help build his imagination. That has been built already. It does not do it. They cannot interact with it until someone in the house builds it, and that comes with parenthood. They can, if you have toddler stuff with the big play system, they can go play on it, not going through the tunnels, just playing on it, and that will help build their imagination. If you have a puppet theater that comes with kids' room stuff, if a child goes in and puts on a show and the toddler watches, that builds their imagination too. And also cats and dogs, if a toddler imitates a pet, that will help build their imagination too. So there's a few different areas that can help you build your imagination skill for a toddler. And again, if they're playful, that will help build it quicker. Now, little Rusty here is hungry, and then I'm going to have his dad actually parenting. This is something that comes with parenthood. Give him a second wind to give him a little bit of a boost when it comes to his energy. And then we're going to see him, because he is energized from being played with, though whether he'll still be energized by the time he is finished eating is a different matter. that helps with movement. And for movement, the playing helped build his movement skill. And as you can see, he's actually pretty high with the movement because I find it's pretty easy to build that skill. Playing will help with that. Blocks can help with that. They can either do that on their own or have help from someone else, including a child. They can wander, they can dance, and they can just moving around will help build their skill. And plus, from toddler stuff, there's the 3 things that come with that. The tunnels, which we do not have because they're big, so I don't often have them on my home lot, so I do occasionally. The ball pitch, which they'll use that autonomously, as well as the tunnels autonomously, and the slide. The slide isn't that big, and it's my favorite thing, especially with seasons. I tend to keep that one inside. They're both inside here because they have a huge greenhouse out here that's all covered up. So I have the toddler go and slide and slide and slide until they essentially, it boosts. I find the slide, they can get their movement skill up really quickly. So that combined with playing, except for that playing can give the sim playing with them an uncomfortable moodlet from the toddler getting too big, which can happen regardless of how old the toddler is. I've had it right away when the toddler's aged up, and sometimes they don't get it later. So it is random. She luckily didn't get it, so that was good. So he's coming out here to play, and there he goes. He's mastered his movement skill, so we don't need him to do that anymore. So we're going to now have his mom read him to sleep, which is another way to help with the imagination. Essentially, having a book read to you and reading them to sleep is having a book read to you is a way to help build their imagination skills. So as you can see, that he was pretty close, but didn't take very long. So I'll just have them do that. But I do not tend to use the slide with the toddlers on their own until they're level 2, because they sometimes can get scared or sad, angry, or I think they're more likely to get sad because they get scared of using it when their movement skill is too low. So I wouldn't recommend it till their movement skill is a little bit higher. But once it is 2, then it's a good thing to use if you have the toddler stuff back. So last but not least is the thinking skill. And I have to say it's usually the one I tend to get later on, but it is a good one to get. The way to build that, you can have a parent teach flashcards similar to how we had the option or didn't have the options with communication, but basic needs is something that comes up right from the get-go. They can do that right away. So I tend to usually start with having them teach the flashcards. You can also have them teach shapes to Rusty, and that will help with the thinking skill. Rusty is level 2, so he can actually he can do shapes on his own or do shape help, but when he was level 1, he could not initiate it. It had to be done by a caregiver doing it to him. But now he's level 2, he can initiate and ask someone to help him with it. The other way to build thinking skill, or another way, is to do the what's that on the many things. Not everything has it, but a lot of things have it. You can see that there. That will help build the thinking skill. As well as they can come over here. I'm not going to obviously do this. I'm just showing this on the menu. Under friendly is the ability to watch. That will build thinking skill too. So once they get to level 4 of thinking, they have the ability to ask why of other Sims. He doesn't have that ability. And if they are inquisitive, they can also ask about the world. What I do notice is that oftentimes when toddlers use this interaction, they will make the Sim they are talking to stressed from the questions. I still do it because it's just another way. Once I'm at level 4, I'm like pushing through to try and get it. And at that point, I'm like definitely going, what's that? What's that? What's that? Just to get them up, anything to get them up to level 5 of the thinking skill. So just in general, all of the skills are useful. If you're going to play with them as toddlers, it's much more enjoyable to play with them once they've actually maxed their skills, because, you know, they can do a lot more. They move a lot quicker. They can like run around if their movement is high. And, you know, they can ask a lot more when their communication is high. And then, like it says, the thinking helps them with their being less defiant. And obviously the potty is perfect, because then they go use the potty on their own and don't use a diaper. And imagination, you know, that's easy, I find, for them to get. I don't notice a huge benefit as a toddler, but I'm sure they just have more fun with it. And as their imagination grows, they can do more in terms of the books. When they have no imagination, they can't do as much on their own, even with looking at books and stuff like that. So it does give them more options too. It's not quite as big of an improvement as the other things are. So that's just generally it for building toddler skills and the advantages of building those toddler skills. I try my best to get my toddlers to max their skills if I can, because I do like that top-notch toddler trait that they get and the 25% boost to their skills and their career for the rest of their life. I find it really helpful. They will just zoom through skills, and it makes it so much easier when you're playing with Sims, and also it helps with careers. But the other thing that can help is parenthood values, which will be my next tutorial on how to build them and the advantages of getting them into the positive. That's what I'm going to be concentrating on. But that's going to be it for this tutorial on building toddler skills. Let me know if you have any suggestions for tutorials you'd like to see down below in the comments. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye! This has been Jennifer. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below. I'd love to see them. If you liked the video, please leave a like. And if you'd like to see more videos of challenge, let's plays, tutorials, and occasional speed builds, please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks very much!